All right, we are off to a slow start today. Give me a second here to check my signal, where we are at, and then we will get started here. We'll run for about an hour. We on? Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, sounds like we are. I'm just stumbling around. Where's my volume at? Okay, that's good. And we'll keep this one down here. And I'm going to grab my social media link here and copy paste. I'm going to copy paste a bunch more. I'll go through my origin story here real quick with you guys, and then we'll get to work. So, hey, my name is Theurgy. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish online, and I've been running Dungeons and Dragons since 1987. I've been using Eberron as my home world since 2006. Eberron just had its 20th year anniversary. I think it was in June, so happy birthday, Eberron. And I started creating content on DMsGuild for 5th edition in 2017, but this is the first actual adventure that we've created. It's called Crystals of Mavar. It's for 4 to 5 characters, level 7 to 8. You're fighting necromancers and undead in the Karnwood, in the nation of Karnath, on the continent of Carver. So if you're into seeing this kind of content, you can follow me on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. Otherwise, like, subscribe, hit a bell icon to get notification when we're live in the future. All 281 episodes now is currently on the full playlist here. You can see the creation of this book cover background, episode 40. And we are now getting into our next optional combat encounter, the Tree of Woe. If you're using the... hold on real quick. Yes, let's get rid of those. I want to import some elements from the other maps that we've been building. So let's go to File, Open. I want to go to the to Manifest Zone ground map. There we go. I'm going to duplicate this layer. We're going to drag it down into the Tree of Woe. If you're playing the Gatekeeper Druid plot hook, then wait for it. One moment. Thump, 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 thump. I'm going to call this trash, not trees. Drop that here. The Gatekeeper Druid hook. The Gatekeepers are aware of planar phenomenon. It's their duty to make sure the world isn't destroyed when co-terminating with other planes of existence. Which seems silly that it would, but alas, earwax. They pick up at the port a planar anomaly. They know it's in Karnwood. So they send out a scouting team to find out what's going on. They go missing. Now they call in specialists, you, to go rescue them and to find out what's actually going on. They can offer you a amplified ritual of a tree stride spell. So or transport via tree. You step into a tree, you step out of another tree. By amping it up with a ritual, they're able to send you thousands of miles from wherever it is, assumedly the Eldine reaches, to the Karnwood. But inside the Manifest Zone, the only tree that's left intact is this evil undead tree, the Tree of Woe. So it is a 30-foot radius tree that is basically a trumped up version of a roper. And instead of having tentacles that lash out, it has branches that will grasp and pull you to its maw. But it's basically a colossal sized roper. So let's see. We have our map. We want to resize this down to be 6 by 6 space. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just about the right size now. 2, 3, 4, 5. We can tollify you just a touch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. does that jive? It does. Cool. Now we can fill in boobly boobly details. Yeah, let's leave those, drop those away. One, two, three, four, five, six. Trim that a bit. Now we can resize the thing. Six. Let's center this down. I don't need that. Bring that in. And bring that in. Let's just keep it like this. Tree. Evil tree. Spiraling everything inward. That feels pretty good. So we'll do some cleanup on this, and then we'll add in the 20-foot area map. We'll add in puddles, and we'll be good to go. Do not need that. Let's just keep it here. I'm going to drop down this a little bit more. Distracting me. Better. You gotta remember how branches work, that when they divide, they become smaller than the trunk they came off of. So as we continue building this thing, we have to keep pushing the... I'm going to switch that to a circle. It has to keep tapering down to a smaller point. Here's another branch, so it's going to have to thicken some more. You can't thin, otherwise it would break. A little bend like that is the perfect time to increase the width of the branch. here. Here it tapers off. And a branch wouldn't come out there. A branch would come out like around here. It has to be thicker, again, than where it's coming from. It feels a little too thick, so I'm going to thin that down just a smudge. There. So here's our width here. That's basically setting the pace for how big this branch can actually be. But it wanders pretty damn far away from the trunk, so we're going to have to thicken the hell out of this. Make sure it's going to be able to bear that weight. Even if it is undead, it still has to follow tree physics, because it was a tree first, before it died. Let's turn off the grid for now, too. Bit. Good. These little overhangs here help build the presumption of three-dimensional twisting, like curling around. It'll have little overlaps, like when you bend your wrist here. There's an overlap line here into the trunk of your hand as your limb stretches off in another direction. This little joint here is what we're representing with these little nubs. That builds straight. And then here, Good. Stuff's looking good so far. I'm happy with it. Very happy. And we have our trunk. Thin down as we get further towards the edges, thickens as we get towards the center. There. Thank you, Timely Timer. Yeah, it'll be a short session today. That's okay. 7:06. We're doing fine. Looking pretty good here. Thicken this one up. Got a hell of a crook going on here. Good one. All right, so then we'll just stretch this one out like here. And I don't want that branch there, but I do want one here. Feels pretty good. Yeah. Here. There we go. Again, you always want to thicken as you get closer to the trunk, you thin as you move further away. And whenever your branch divides, you want to thin it down significantly as well. Good. There. I like this little insert here. Adds to that twist feel. So I'm going to honor that by having it reflect over here as well. Like this. Yeah, just like that. It's a little thin, so I need to thicken it up here. Seems a little too thick, so let's thin that up a little bit. It's just out of proportion. A bit of a crook here. It's starting to feel more natural. I like that. This is very, very worth the time, I feel. Amon Raw. I like this song. Too thick. Good. Good. Good, 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 good. I like how that sits. Here. There. And there. Too thick. There we go. Decent proportions. like these. Massive crook. That's super cool. Gotta make sure to keep it thin. That thick one. Needs to be thinner. Yeah, that's good. Then here. So the scouts that got sent in first by the gatekeepers got captured. So it depends on where the DM chooses to start the adventure. You can shorten the adventure by having them arrive at the Tree of Woe and be already inside the manifest zone within striking distance of any of the 3 major locations in the manifest zone that'll lead down into the dungeon. Just depends on what the DM wants to play. And then if alternatively they can start earlier in the adventure all the way back to the village, or starting in the forest instead of contacting the village. If you start back in that would be Act 1. So if you start in Act 1, the first encounter in the forest that they would have is running across the scouts up in a tree, trying to stay awake and not fall out of the tree and get eaten by a bunch of undead that have clustered around, that gathered around the bottom of the tree, making ineffective jumps to try to grab at the characters. As long as the NPCs don't fall asleep, they're okay. One of them has fallen out of the tree already and is dead. So there were 4 scouts. There are now 3 scouts. 2 of them are in the tree. If you start in Act 1, they will tell you that they escaped from the gatehouse, that they'd come in, got captured, got taken to the gatehouse for interrogation. But they escaped before they could get questioned. And now they find themselves in a tree, and they appreciate the characters. They provide some information about locations, and then the major objective is to get the hell out. So they do. And but that leaves one left in the manifest zone that got lost and separated from the rest when they were captured. He is currently inside the belly of a mammoth of the mist, which is in the cemetery. So he is going to be quite thankful for the character's arrival. If the characters start in Act 2 and arrive at the Tree of Woe, then they wouldn't have an opportunity to encounter the escaped scouts in Act 1. So instead, the scouts haven't escaped. They're trapped. They're imprisoned down inside the dungeon, awaiting sacrifice. So when the characters get to the prison, area 11 inside of the underground facility, there will be the three scouts in there, awaiting death. So your characters can rescue them while you're shutting down the facility and disrupting the ritual. They're more than willing to help if you can equip them with weapons. So you pick up some minions in case you don't have Red Wolf mercenaries on your side. It's far less likely that you're going to have mercenaries on your side using the gatekeeper plot hook, because you're not encouraged or have much opportunity to interact with them from a point of authority and forgiveness. The gatekeepers are here to destroy this place and anyone that's involved with it. So not negotiating with the mercenaries is more in tune with what your objectives are, which drives you more towards an exploration and combat sort of scenario. There. Yeah, okay, that feels pretty natural. Last one. Hey Karen, how you doing? It's nice to see you. This is a 30-foot diameter tree. It is undead. It's basically a supersized roper. Here's our grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's inside its confines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the mouth is here in the center. There will be undead skeletons hanging off of some of these branches to drop down and attack the team. The team will appear in a space adjacent to the tree when they're sent here by druids to investigate the area, and this is the only tree that they can target with their amplified tree striding spell. And so when your characters get there, the tree is hostile and wants to eat the characters. So they can just choose to run away, but it's going to drop undead on them, and the undead will just lumber after them until they're dealt with, even if the characters are capable of escaping the tree itself. What's up? Nice, me too. That's why I love about doing artwork in the morning before my day begins. It puts me in a creative mind space, and I find my day work more tolerable. Obviously, I'd rather be doing this full time, 24/7. Alas, I am a victim of money just like everyone else is. So I will be thankful for the time that I have to do what I want, and that everything in my life has led me to be here right now, to be able to enjoy artwork before my day begins, to pay unto Caesar what is Caesar's, to give respect to the time that I spend at my day job, honor the relationship that I have with management, to get work done. This one feels too wide. Let's thin that one up a touch. And now we can start lumpifying it. Now we have decent branch. This one feels a little thin. I need to thicken that up a touch. I spy with my eyes something beginning with K. What's up? Yeah, right on. More of the same, more of the same. Same as it ever was. Where are we at on time? 7:26? Okay, so this will be my last 20-minute burst. Not a long session today, that's fine. Be there. We're going to drop that out of view for now, so I can focus in on what we've created instead of what we had done before. So I want to make these little crook patternings here and here. Ugh, my nose. See how that breaks apart? I have to expand the width of this here because it's too thin. Can't support that amount of weight hanging out, so I have to broaden it here. 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 There, that's starting to look thicker. There, like that. Good. Huh? Oh, hey, how do we say this? Verdigris table. Hey, neat. Ryan Doyle. Hey, what's up, Ryan? Hey, Phil, loving the adventures concept and digging the art even more. Great way to start the day. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, Ryan. Yeah, this thing's been a fun build. It's a thick boy too. There's the currentness of it. It's 155 pages currently. Yeah, it's a 155 page adventure without formatting. So once we break into formatting and add in illustrations and stuff, it'll probably be 140 pages. This will be the biggest project that I've the largest word count I've ever published. And it's also, because it's an adventure and it has tons of self-referencing inside of it, it's also the most complicated piece that I've ever built. I shouldn't feel bad. It's taken well over a year to create this thing because it has a lot of moving parts that we did all the work smarting through it so that it becomes a pretty easy read. It's a very easy linear read to go from the front of the adventure to the back, but it gets broken into different segments, and you can weave past some pieces. It's hard to speak casually about it. How to say? So much of the adventure is optional that we give you basically on ramps and off ramps to different portions of the adventure. and it's all spatially aligned. Like when you start at the edge of the forest, you're in Act 1. You get into the forest, you're in start of the forest is Act 1. As you go through the forest and hit the manifest zone, that becomes Act 2. And then once you find your way down into the actual necromancer laboratory, that becomes Act 3. So there's multiple large maps that can be explored, but the team can beeline to the actual underground facility directly. Sometimes as one-shots, you can just be teleported or plane shifted. It'd have to be a plane shift because it's inside of a manifest zone, but you can be plane shifted directly into the final dungeon if you want to make a one-shot out of it. If you want to tack on, like, pad it with more time because you're adding it to an ongoing campaign. Like when I run a campaign from level 1 to 20, it's 250 hours. And if I were to use all the components that are inside of this adventure, I could easily run this for 4, maybe 5 sessions if I really wanted to pad it out in 3 or 4. Like I could put 20 hours into this. A 20-hour adventure. Go from like level 6 to 9. It would be no, that wouldn't be right. It'd be like level 7 to 9. I could easily get 2 levels out of this, and then it could become the depending on what your plot hook is, you can take over the lab and make it your domain or your bastion, as it were. So you can use it as a base of operations to perform other adventures in the Carnwood region. I think there's text down there I'm ignoring. Give me a second. Epic. Hey, thanks. Yeah, whenever I run campaigns, I'm always thinking about Dominion. I can't remember who it was that I was listening to. Oh yeah, it was Quinn. It was Quinn's ideas. One of the YouTube channels that's out there. He reviews board games and role-playing games. But he made the comment when he was reviewing Wild Sea that teams love having vehicles or a base of operations. I find that to be true. As a player, I always loved having a fortress that I could geek out on and draw and stuff. As a DM, I find consistently that players love to have something that they can call their own, something that they have to protect, something that is a source of upgrades and becomes a quote-unquote money sink, like a gold sink, because you can just pump money into crew and weapons and ship upgrades and stuff. Obviously thinking Spelljammer here, but in a more typical landbound campaign, establishing and taming a region of wilderness gives the team ownership and stewardship over that region, and I find players like doing that. If they don't want to do like the background stuff of maintaining a location and like the accounting of it, then you can just hand wave it. Like it becomes a reason for adventure. It doesn't have to be any additional mini games involving the location that you're commanding, but it becomes a great reference point for local adventures, plus giving you reasons to want to come back for long rests or like to take downtime activity and space in between your missions. Domains give you a reason to have space between missions. It builds in basically more time and padding in, so you aren't constantly go. You can have a couple months off while you build up your bastion and give the forces of evil a chance to build up as well. Everyone needs pacing. The original box set D&D, it would have like if you wanted to gain a level, you had to be fully rested. The training system that they had in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons was 1 week per level gained. So like if you're 19th level, you would have to take 20 months of training to get to 20th level before you could start adventuring again at 20th level. So it really enforced this long-winded downtime that your characters need to accumulate more power. And the forces of evil, or the forces of chaos, need that as well. They have to have downtime for them to be able to brew up more minions and find the next world-ending apocalypse challenge for the team to save the world with. And that takes time for those threats to manifest. So having a lot of downtime built into your campaign speaks to a living world where you can have an active campaign, if that makes sense. Oh yes, I can play, and all that good has to go somewhere. Yeah. Thanks, man. Once they're invested, yeah, that home base can be threatened, and then they're hooked. Yeah. I've actually had fails on that before. There's a real delicate balance that has to be played when threatening their home. It can't be if it's too hostile and and it costs them too many resources, they'll bail on the place. They'll realize it's a trap. So you have to be very delicate about threatening them at home. Like the old mafia. What was the old mafia rule? You never attack them at their home because you have to have a safe haven to go to. But if they have like a base of like if they have a business, you can attack the business. DM has to follow the same rules. I had an Eberron campaign a number of years back when the team was basically taking up. There was the space between Thrain and Aundary got destroyed, and so they took over a lot of the ruined communities there and started fixing them all as their own nation. And then a bunch of demons got involved and would round up zealots to attack the communities that they were building. And I had at one point 3 different terrorist organizations that were attacking different communities, and the team just let them die. They're like, this is too much, so they just let two of the communities die, so that they could trim back the number of locations that they were responsible for. They were attempting to build a kingdom with multiple communities, different levels of cities and towns, and once they got 4 different communities up and running, they started getting hit by terrorists, and they had to they just literally let 2 of them die so that they could reduce their footprint, so it'd be easier for them to because they didn't have enough resources to effectively control the entire realm. My thought was that they would start micromanaging their security forces to redistribute them, but instead they're like, that's too much brain. We're just gonna let them burn, so we don't have to think as much, because the thinking is what's pissing us off. And that was a pretty valuable lesson on my part, to not overtax their trust that they have a safe spot. Like if they were building that kingdom because they thought it would be cool to give all these refugees someplace safe to go, but they didn't want to sacrifice their own power character fantasies and what is it, spirit of adventure, as it were. So it ended up backfiring on me. Valuable lesson there for me. You really got to be in tune. Like my problem there was that I didn't touch base with them enough about how much administrative control did they want over the society that they were building. What I would have done if I had realized it sooner in my session 0 is get a sense on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want to actually manage this stuff, and they would have come in like around a 2 or a 3. Like they want to make the important decisions, but they want it to basically run itself. And if it's ran itself and you do it effectively, you can basically, like you said, use it as a source of adventure hooks. And so the current campaign that I'm running in Eberron, it's a Spelljammer orbital asteroid mining operation, and they own and operate the mining operation itself. So they've got a number of territories, multiple mining teams that are constantly digging at rocks in orbit to extract gems and like gold and platinum and copper and all these different valuable metals. Precious metals is the word I'm looking for. And gems and psionic crystals, all the stuff that's in orbit around Eberron. They have warforged dwarves and gnomes working together as a mining operation to land on an asteroid, dig out as much ore as they can, take it off to Moorhold as a refining facility to convert the ore into commodities that they then get resource points that they can spend to improve their organization or equip new magic items or expand. An XCOM style of game. If you've played XCOM, the computer game, you'll kind of get the gist of what they're doing. There's multiple factions that they are enemies with. They have very few allies, but the allies they have are strong and they can trade for resources. This feels pretty good. Let's start here. I'm going to run out of time here pretty soon. But I am looking forward to our lunchtime conversation. Yeah, so for like I was saying, like I said at the beginning of the session, I was saying yesterday I won't be on for my normal lunchtime Martial Powers stream because I'm going to hang out with Robert and we're going to mess around with building characters on his channel, and I will once that's kicked out, I'll drop a link on that in my Discord and on my social links and push that forward. But I'm having a nice change of pace with Robert today, and I appreciate the invitation. He's got a really cool character generator that I was getting to mess around with, and I think we're going to mess around with that some more today. I don't know exactly what we're doing today. Robert's going to read... Ryan's going to lead the show. I'm going to kick along and see what we got going on. Kind of coming in blind, pardon the pun. I'm looking forward to it. And that's going to be in about 3 hours or so, a little bit more than 3 hours. So I will be ready for that. I need to expand that. This is how I like this point here. Nope, yep, that feels better now. I'll just keep that like that. Let's see. I was here, I'm pushing inward. Yeah, that feels good. There and there. Gotta be careful about these little overlaps to create this three-dimensional space, because I want to make sure that like this should really be like this, working together here. To bend down and then forward and then bend down again. This branch is overlapping, so like it's rising up while the rest of the branch is sloping down. So we got this spiral pattern here, right? So this branch is overlapping, this branch is overlapping, this branch is overlapping, this branch all the way around the circle like a pinwheel. And so when we get out to it, I want to be paying attention to how does the next the next rung of spokes, how does that spin further away from the core, so that when you look at it, it feel like there's no, like this is a contradiction. This curling down here and then pulling up, that could happen, but considering the weight of stuff, it should continue bending down like this. See, I have this this knotted rope patterning that's going on that pulls the eye down, basically like down the chute. There. And this is unnatural here. There's my next 20-minute timer. Let's, where are we at? 7:50? 7:45? Let's give ourselves another 10 minutes and we'll cut for the day. So I'm here typically 10 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. We're doing artwork like this for the Eberron adventure we're creating. On Mondays and Thursday nights, including last night, we do Spelljammer adventure design. We're currently adding additional encounters to the Light of Xeraxis adventure that Wizards had published for the Spelljammer setting, making use of the Spelljammer combat and exploration mechanics that we created. That got published on... we published that on in March. That's right. So for anyone that's interested to check out the Spelljammer book that we created here on the DMs Guild, this is a whopper. The first 85 pages of this are mechanics for like ships and equipment, and the scaling combat system that we created at the 5-foot, 50-foot, and 500-foot scale to have ships be able to interact at squadron, at fleet, squadron, and individual ship levels, and then the amplified spellcasting, the exploration mechanics. Why are you hiccuping, honey? There we go. The exploration mechanics for scaling space and being able to like detect objects, like depending on the size of the object and your distance from it, sets the scale of the DC to be able to detect those things, and like a wild space system generator. And then we take all those mechanics and we blend them together to convert Light of Xeraxis. So the first 85 pages of the document is 82 pages of the document is basically mechanics for ship, combat, explorations, wild system generation, spellcasting, creatures, hazards, and then the last of it is a 25-page conversion guide for Light of Xeraxis, using all of those 80 pages of mechanics to show how you can run a Spelljammer game in 5e using actual 5e mechanics with the level of depth that we would expect in inside like a second edition hex crawl sort of format. So if you read the book and you play Light of Xeraxis and use the rules from this in Light of Xeraxis, you'll learn how to run wild space campaigns the way that we present them, so that you'll then be able to pick up and continue your game from there. So yeah, this is a fun little book. And now on Mondays and Thursdays we add to it, basically, like the Warforged Machines Mecha Combat book, the Mega Kaiju book that we built the Space Kraken with, the Living Ships sidekick rules, so you can awaken your ship so it becomes sentient and an ally to you, so that you can verbally command it instead of having to pilot it. So we can add sidekick rules to a ship, whether it's a fighter craft or a full vessel. It just depends on how heavily you amplify the awakening spell to give it sentience. And then we have all the massive ship designs like Vokath's Crab that we've been converting into a 500-foot battleship to fight the Astral Elves in the Light of Xeraxis, to create an alternate wind condition for the adventure that we're fleshing out. So as we build, like the next thing we'll build is like the 500-foot scale Elven carrier ship, the Armada class Monarch Butterfly super carrier with all of its little flitter fighter ships. So we'll build the fighter ships using the fighter ship squad mechanics that we already have inside of the book, and add them to the Elven Armada, and then that becomes basically a floating base for Elven adventurers to wage war against the Greenskins or whatever. So we'll have a series of these massive ships. We'll eventually get to the Dwarven Citadel, and in the Lazrax's adventure, for those that are familiar with it already, there's an asteroid field that the characters basically perform some adventuring inside of to help a sorcerer. And the asteroid field is the remnants of a Dwarven Citadel that had been broken apart and basically abandoned. So now, as the character, like for now, the characters are aware there's strangeness, but when we finish that particular piece, there'll be like little micro dungeons that the team can find while they're adventuring with the sorcerer, to expand out that section of the Lazraxis, or to give the characters something to come back to after they complete the adventure. Like, what do you want to do next? Well, let's continue spelunking those mini dungeons in that giant dwarven face. You know, that becomes your next 9th level adventure, or 8th level, because the adventure ends at 8th level. I want to fix this stuff. This is a little thin for that bulk, so I need to add some mass here to help stabilize it. It's got a big bend into it. It's a little too aggressive, so I need to thicken this up here. Like that. About like that. That's thick enough to be able to bear this load. This is too big, so I need to shorten this up a hunch. Like that. My day's about to end. I'm gonna thin that up a bit. It's a little bit too thick there to cut off. There. So there's a roper monster that's basically living in the trunk of this tree, and its tendrils are going out to control the branches, so it's much larger than it appears. There's a number of dead soldiers that have been impaled by the branches that are just hanging on. The roper can't shake them off to eat them, so they become undead because everything in the manifest zone eventually animates. So let's make sure we're still right size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here is the terrain that this takes place in. I'm going to drop the opacity here a bit. Grab this. I really need to drop the opacity on this a lot. Trunks. I want to get this in the center of the map. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Scooch that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And with the center of the tree and the crosshairs there, to keep it true centered, then we'll be able to add some water hazards. We can go to... So we built all these sinkholes full of water. It's always raining. It's the rainy season in the Carnwood. So these large gashes in the ground get filled up with water, and all the necrotic soil that's in the area, it's basically like necrotic coffee, basically, which is why these sinkholes is full of black and blue. The blue is representing water. The black is representing the grit from the soil. Necrotic soil. And so we can drop in, like you can see the outline shape here of this, and then these are all Where are you at? Why do we do? Something is off. There we go. See, these are all little separate little vignette pieces that we can then drop into this open space here. And then we have all of the hazard tokens that we created for this as well. A different type of plant life. The Vulpina Letharia here gives you Stinking Cloud, Death Breath, saving throw, fail, and then you lose your actions. This Razor Vine, Ferric Ivy, if you step into the square, you take damage. This is more of that coffee grit floor stuff. Here is Plague Moss, it's just window dressing, it just grows on stuff. These are emerald cap mushrooms that can create, like if you brew them into a potion and wipe it on your eye, it'll give you dark vision. And then these are the florets, which are basically like undead dandelions, basically. Whenever a breeze catches this, blows wherever it lands, it kills the ground around it, makes it rot, and it creates this coffee substance, and that coffee substance spawns the moss, the mushrooms, the dandelions that further spread it, as well as Letharia. And anywhere there's a corpse that's buried, it'll spawn this Ferric Ivy. It grows out of the bones of the creature, and then it surfaces and creates this gnarl around it. So we can use these terrain tokens to further decorate this map that we're building. So we put in the tree, we make the tree work, and then we strategically place water hazards and dangerous plant hazards, and then we add in the roper token to the middle of this, and then we put the undead that are hanging on the tree in their appropriate squares, and that sets your battle map. When your characters are hired, if you're using the fourth plot hook, the gatekeeper druids, and they use their ritual to amplify a tree stride spell. This is the only tree that's left inside the manifest zone, so they target it not knowing what it is. They drop you within reach of it, and you immediately get attacked by the tree, and it starts, the undead start scraping their way off, and they start rambling at you, and then you can get dropped into Letharia, which causes you to lose your action, so you can't respond. And now you have undead tackling you and holding you down in the poisonous gas or on the Ferric Ivy. Begin your turn there, take damage. The undead aren't affected by any of the poison from this stuff. They ignore all the mist. They're basically immune to all the horrible hazard conditions because it's undead by nature. They're naturally attuned to that stuff. So it becomes like a clusterfuck for the characters immediately when they land. They're like, yeah, go do this deed. Find out what's going on in this manifest zone. Why is it here? It shouldn't be here. Find out how that happened. Shut it down. Kill everyone involved, and get out. Like that's your SWAT team objective. And we're gonna teleport you in. We don't know. We're teleporting you in blindly. So good luck. And let us know how it comes along. So you get dropped in there. You immediately get attacked. You have to orient yourself, find out where the source is at, the nexus, fight the necromancers there, reclaim the artifact, destroy the artifact that's causing it, and then Bob's your uncle. There you go. So anyway, that's it for today. It is 8 o'clock. I got to shut down. Ryan, I am really looking forward to hanging out with you in about 3 hours. Folks, after the fact, will be able to catch up with that on my channel. And we'll be back tomorrow morning. Oh, shit, we aren't going to be back tomorrow morning because I got to go downtown. So I got to catch a really early bus. So I won't be here tomorrow. But I'll be back Thursday morning to continue this. And then Thursday night for Spelljammer. Friday morning for this. Friday lunch, we're going to build the Magic the Gathering Ravnica campaign, Hexcrawl. We're going to start building land tiles for our 5th and 6th level playtesting. And then Saturday, I don't know what we're going to do on Saturday. We'll do something. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. I will see you all on the other side. Cheers.